Alright, so today I am doing a in-depth strategy guide for Cruella de Vil. Um, she's not terribly difficult, but um, she does have a lot of problems, and those problems include being slow, her fate deck's kind of annoying, and it's just a lot of back and forth with her. So I've decided to make a strategy guide for her. Yeah, so let's get into it. Alright, her objective is really simple. Start your turn with at least 99 captured puppies. This is very easy to understand. So you have your puppy tokens here. These are just tokens that have the number of puppies they're worth and the location that they go on. So let's say this one right here, 22 Radcliffe House. So this token is worth 22 puppies if you capture it, and it can only be played to the Radcliffe House. So there's 122 for each location, so there's 4 22s, and then there's 2 11s for each location. Like here's your Radcliffe House, here's the other Radcliffe House, and that's countryside, I can't read. Here it is. So there's that, these 2 are countryside, so these 3 are to the countryside, so there's, yeah. So in total you just need 99, and that can be any combination of these. You can get all of the 11s if you wanted, which is only 88, so you would still need one of these 22s. Or you can get all 4 22s and an 11, which would probably be the best way to win. The only issue is at the start of the game, her setup is different. You have all of these flipped over, so you don't know what ones are which. And when they're all flipped over like this, when you go to take a puppy token and put it on a location, you have to pick and choose. So I'd pick this one, let's say, Milk Farm, so it would go on the Milk Farm, which is all the way over there. So there's 2 different things you have to do. You have to take the puppy token from the supply. This is called the supply. You take the puppy token from the supply, you add it to its location, which would be all the way over here, and then with another card or ability, you would take this from the location and capture it. And captured puppies go down here underneath your portrait. As soon as you have 99 of those, you start your turn, you win. So it can be it's very visible, objective. People can easily see how far you are. So once they start seeing that you're climbing up to 99, they're going to start trying to get rid of you. So yeah, it's a very visible objective, very simple to understand. So yeah, I'm going to break the board down now. Alright, so to start, you have Radcliffe House. This location, you have a Fate action, Activate action, Play a card, and Vanquish. That is your only Vanquish action, and you're one of 2 Activate actions. Activate actions are incredibly important as Cruella de Vil, so when you're playing as her, make sure this is always open. Don't have this blocked by Fate, people, because this is really important when you're playing. Countryside, it's the basic location almost on every board. It's your basic get 3 tokens, then play 2 cards, and then move an ally or item. This is an easy first place to go because it's gives you the most power, and it allows you to play 2 cards on your first turn, which is very important. Milk Farm, you have discard a card, gain 1 power, fate, and then play a card. This is an important one too, because if you're playing a Sir, you're probably going to have to fate your opponent a few times. So this is always good because this is always open, while this one can be closed at some times. So this is always a good place to go. And then lastly, Hell Hall. This location has 5 actions you can do. You have play a card, gain 1 power, discard a card, activate, and move an ally or item. Moving allies and items are actually important because you only have 2 allies, and those 2 allies are what you use to capture and add puppy tokens to the board. And then activate actions is actually what you use to add or capture puppy tokens, so you kind of need this too. So as you can see, they've done the activate actions both at locations that can be covered up. So you have to be very careful with what fate cards you're allowing to be played. So the board is really simple, and right now I'm going to actually get into the cards. Alright, so really simple. You have 2 allies in the entire deck. You have Horus and Jasper. Each one has their important uses. Horus is capture 1 puppy token at this location, or choose 1 puppy token from the supply and add it to the specified location. So this card is important because when you have a token on a location, he can be here, you can activate this and capture it, or you can be here and take a token from the supply, activate it, and then put it on the board. So he can do one or the other. He's very good to get at the start because he will allow you to just put puppy tokens on the board as much as you can. And this next one, Jasper, he's a very important one as well. Capture up to 2 puppy tokens at this location, but you have to pay 1 power to activate. So if you have 2 puppy tokens at the same location, let's say you used Horus to put all these on the board and you managed to get lucky and have 2 of them at the same location, you can have Jasper at that location pay 1 power and activate and capture 2 at one time. So this can be very, very good because now you got 33 puppy tokens from 1 activate. So Horus and Jasper they go hand in hand in this. A lot of times you want to get both of these out early, but a lot of times they won't both be out at the beginning of the game, and that's only because there's 2 of them in a huge deck, so chances are you only have one or the other, or probably not even either. So when you get these are the most important cards you can possibly get because, well, you use them to vanquish and you use them to basically play the game as Cruella de Vil. Right. For items, you get 2 flashlights, 2 fireplace pokers, you get a telephone, and a Roadster. So let's start. To start, you get 2 flashlights. Flashlights are really simple. Choose a puppy token from the supply and add it to the specified location. It's basically Horus, except with Horus, you you can do both. Flashlight can only do one. Flashlight takes puppy tokens from the supply and adds them to the location. So, very simple. You might get this because there's 2 of them. So, these are important. If you don't have Horus, these can be good alternatives, except you just can't capture them. But adding them all onto your board has its benefits too, because if they get removed from the board without being captured, like some fate cards take puppy tokens and return them to the supply. When they go back to the supply, they're face up, so you know what they are. So let's say you weren't really liking that 11, you wanted the 22. So you can, when you use the flashlight again, you can try something else and look. Oh, there's a 22. There you go. So now you just upgraded, but flashlights are helpful for that specific point. Next we have fireplace poker. These are your items that attach to allies. When it's attached to an ally, that ally gets +1 strength. When that ally would be discarded, discard this item instead. So these are important because you only have 2 allies, and you don't want to discard them from a vanquish action. So you would attach a fireplace poker to Jasper or Horus if you wanted to get rid of a hero. And then when you vanquish, Jasper would stay, the fireplace poker would get discarded. So you get 2 of these. That's also really helpful because you can get faded and heroes can be blocking your activate actions and you need to get rid of them, but you don't want to use up your allies. So this is a very good card. So when you get this, I would just attach it to your allies, so you're not sitting on these and you're not taking up a card in your hand that could be something else that could be more helpful. Next up is telephone. Pay 1 power and then choose an ally from your discard pile and play them to any location for free. So this is a card that if you didn't have a fireplace poker and you had to vanquish, this could be very helpful too, because it's a way to get Jasper or Horus back if they got discarded from a vanquish from a vanquish action. Very simple. So you pay 1 power and then they just come back and you place them anywhere, so you don't even have to pay their cost, which is actually a really good deal. I would pay 1 power to then get my allies back. So yeah, that's a very important card. Roadster. When Roadster is moved, you may move it to any location. You may move up to 2 puppy tokens from Roadster's previous location to its new location. So this card is ridiculously important. Let's say you have Jasper at the Radcliffe house, and let's say you have all of your puppy tokens at the countryside, or have your puppy tokens at the milk farm. Let's do that. And you don't want to move Jasper from here. So you can move the Roadster over here, and these 2 puppy tokens would come over here, and then you can activate Jasper to capture them. And then you can move the Roadster again here, and then move it back here, and then capture these 2. So Roadster is a very important card for moving around puppy tokens. It's a good way to stack them too. Like if you had 1 here and 1 here, why would you pay 1 power to capture a puppy token when Horus can capture 1 puppy token for free? So you would use the Roadster to move that puppy token here to double these up, and then use Jasper to capture them both in 1 movement. So that's also a very important thing. Now, if there's a fate card that discards items, or discards an item, if you have the Roadster out, it will be the Roadster. A close second would be the telephone. But yeah. Oh wait, actually no. Maybe this would be second. Flashlights are incredibly important as well. So yeah, if you have this out and they pull a card that allows them to discard an item, Roadster will 9 times out of 10 be the one they choose. Now for effects, it's most of the deck, so it's a lot of cards. So we have You Idiots. You idiots, either move an ally to your location or choose an ally from your deck or discard pile and put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. These two cards are good if you can't find Jasper or Horus. If they're in your deck, play this, and then you can find one or the other, and then put them in your hand. So that's a really important card, because it allows you to get your allies onto the board when you originally would have to just search through your deck to find them. This also works for if they're in the discard pile, kind of like the telephone. But instead of, for the telephone, you have to pay 1 power to put it down and then pay another power to activate. So in total, you're paying 2 power to get 1 back. You idiots would be 1, but you would have to pay the cost to play him. So I tend to use this just to find these two out of my deck versus using them to get them out of my discard pile. Mostly because I don't really ever end up with them in the discard pile. Next up we have Get the Job Done. Really simple, perform an activate action. So in the chance that you have a card blocking this activate and this activate, you can't do anything with Horus and Jasper because without the activates you can't do any capturing. So this card just allows you to perform an activate to do either of these. So this card's important. I tend to use this to just capture puppy tokens, or I put puppy tokens on the board with these. So these are really good. You get one of these. This is Bought and Paid For. Bought and Paid For. You capture 1 puppy token from Cruella de Vil's location. It's okay. I mean, it could come in handy. So if you're at the countryside and there's a puppy token at the countryside, you could pay 2 power to just take this and capture it. Yeah, this could come in handy if you're almost about to win. You just need 1 more puppy token, and there's 1 on your board, but your allies aren't around, so you can't really capture them. You can just do it yourself. So this card is pretty useful, and it's also just a really good way to capture a puppy token while you're waiting for opportunities to move your allies and stuff like that. Next up we have Here Puppies. You get 2 of these. They read, choose a puppy token from the supply and add it to the specified location. Very simple. Just like Horus, except you don't need to activate. You just take a puppy token from the supply and add it to its location. That's all you do. You get 2 of these, so it's a good way to get puppies on the board. Yeah, if you get this card, play it. It can't hurt you. It only costs 1, so it's very helpful. Next up we have Spotted. So this is a good card to be able to get to know what's in the supply and where it is. So you have Spotted. With Spotted you reveal up to 2 puppy tokens in the supply. So you have 12 puppy tokens, so if you get spotted, you can just flip over 2, so you know which ones are which. So, pretty helpful. Possibility of only flipping over 4, because 2 each, so you can get up to 4 tokens flipped over in the supply. It's just a good way to know what's there. I Live for Furs. Next up, you get 3 of these. Gain 1 power for each location in your realm that has at least 1 puppy token. So this can be a very helpful card for getting power. If you have one at the countryside, one at the Radcliffe house, one at the milk farm, and the other at Hell Hall, what you can do is actually play this, and then you would gain 4 power because you have 1 at every location. If you have 3, you get 3 power, 2 power, and then 1 power. If you have 2 at 1 location, so you just have those 2, you only get 1 power because there's only 1 location that has tokens on it. So this can be helpful if you're running low on power. You get 3 of these, so there's a lot of power that you can make with this. Yeah. So if you are just trying your best to getting a lot of the puppy tokens out, you can play that and then gain more power. So it works really well for getting puppy tokens out there, because you get puppy tokens out there, then you gain more power, and then you use that power to get more puppy tokens out, and then it just builds and builds and builds, and then next thing you know, you have a lot of puppy tokens out, and then you can just go on a spree of capturing. Next up, we have Whatever It Takes. Whatever It Takes is, on this turn, you may perform 1 action that is covered by a hero at your location. So this is very important as well. So let's say you have a hero here, and you need to do the activate action. So you go here, use this play a card, and you can play Whatever It Takes to then do this. Now, a lot of times cards like this don't allow you to do fate actions, but this one does. So if you absolutely need to, you could actually use it to fate your opponents if you need. Yeah, I tend to use this to do activate actions, because activate actions are the most important thing to win with. So, yep, very simple. 2 of these, that Devil Woman. Move a hero to any location. This could be very important as well, because if you have a hero here, and you want to be able to have your activate action open, you can use that Devil Woman to move a hero to any location, in which case I'd probably choose this location, because discard and gain 1 power is not as important as activate and fate, or being able to play a card and move an ally or item, or being able to move an ally or item or fate. So this is the location that I'd be totally fine with blocking with a hero, which is why this card can be very important, because if you have heroes, you can move them. Lastly, we have the Devil Take It. So the Devil Take It is choose an item or effect from your discard pile and put it in your hand. This can be helpful because you can use it to do really anything with. You have all of these options with this. So you can use it to get a fireplace poker or flashlight to help you out there. You can use it to get your Roadster back if you need. Just got to make sure that they're in the discard pile. They have to be discarded to be able to get used. You can use it to be able to gain a puppy token, or gain power from puppy tokens, reveal puppy tokens, capture puppy tokens, or put it to a specified location. You can do a lot of things with it, which is why it's probably one of the more important cards in your deck. You just gotta know what you want at the certain amount of time, or you just gotta know what you want essentially, and then you can get it done. So you get 2 of these. So good card. And then lastly, for conditions, we have 2 sets, like always, except the new expansion you don't actually. There's one villain that has only 3 of one kind. They change it up. So, to start, Cruel, during their turn, if another player moves an ally or item, you may put 1 puppy token from the supply and add it to the specified location. So this is very important, or not, I wouldn't say important, honestly. If they move an ally or item, which, from this box you have Pete, which is a person that moves a lot of allies and moves a lot of items, and you also have Mother Gothel, which is, again, a person that moves a lot of allies and moves a lot of items. So this condition is very important because of that. So it just allows you to take one of these and then add it to the specified location. Very simple. Yeah, so if you get that card and you know that your opponents are going to be moving allies or items, keep it. If you know that they're not this turn, or maybe next turn, I wouldn't even bother. I'd just get rid of it. Devilish. During their turn, if another player defeats a hero with a strength of 3 or more, you may play Devilish, defeat a hero with a strength of 3 or less. This has its moments. It can be very helpful if you don't have a fireplace poker or a card that allows you to get your allies from the discard pile. It's a very important card in that regards, but you have to make sure that your opponent defeats a hero with a strength of 3 or more, which doesn't always happen. And then you have to make sure that the hero you're trying to get rid of has 3 or less. So 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't even think about using this. I would just get rid of it, because there are a lot of other cards that can take up these 2 slots in your hands that can actually be more helpful quicker. Alright, so that's the deck. Now I'm going to get into the Fate deck. Alright, so in this Fate deck, you get 8 or 7 heroes. Some of them are pretty bad, some of them are totally fine. You just got to make sure that you have options to get rid of them, because they can be blocking your activate actions, which can be incredibly important. The first one I'm going to talk about is Nanny. Cost to activate allies and items in this location is increased by 1 power. So if you have your allies there at that location, you're going to have to pay extra power to do activate actions. So if she's at a location, and let's say you had a flashlight or Horus at Radcliffe House, so you just had Horus, what you can do is just move him over, and then he's free to use to put tokens on the board. Very easy to get around, only 2 strength, so she's also easy to vanquish with Horus or Jasper. You just got to make sure that you have a fireplace poker so that they don't get discarded. Next up we have Anita and Roger. When a puppy token from the supply would be added to this location, return it face up to the supply. This is where it can actually be pretty bad. So let's say you play a card that allows you to put a puppy token from here onto the board. You flip it over, Radcliffe House. A puppy token would go here, but because of Anita and Roger's ability, this card or this token does not get played, and it moves back to the supply. But it returns face up, so at the very least, you get to know what it was and where it goes, so you can know to put it on the board next time if you really wanted it. So this one would be a good one to get rid of, or you can just keep it there if you know where all of these tokens are, and then you can just pick the other tokens to get applied to anywhere else, and then you can play out of these 3 and ignore the Radcliffe House tokens. It's up to you, really, with that. Next up we have Colonel. When Colonel is played, you may move a hero to any location. So this can be a counter to your card that allows you to move a hero, that Devil Woman. Let's say you had Nita and Roger here, you move that them there with that Devil Woman. They could play Colonel here to block your activate, and then with the you may move Anita and Roger over here to block this activate. So it can be pretty bad with that. Again, 3 strength. Make sure you have a fireplace poker so you don't lose your allies. Next up we have, the pair Perdida and Pongo. I'll start with Pongo first. Puppy tokens cannot be captured at this location. So if you have him there, any puppy tokens you have at his location cannot be captured. So if you had all 3 of these here, you had 44 tokens on this location. With Pongo there, you can't capture. So make sure you have a fireplace poker, vanquish him, or move him over to then start capturing. So you can actually move him around to avoid having to kill him if you really needed to. Next up is Perdida. And when Perdida is played, you choose 1 captured puppy token and add it to her location. This is where it can get annoying. If you captured this originally, she would take it and put it back to her location. So that can be a way that they get around having to lose, because this can, if you're at 99, this can take away up to 22 of your puppy tokens, and then you would have to then take another turn to get it back, and then wait another turn to win. So this can be very bad if Perdida's used. So you kind of want to hope that she's been used early, so that you don't have to worry about him when you're about to win, because she'll be in your discard pile, hopefully. Next up we have Captain. When Captain is played, you may move an ally from his location to an adjacent location. Very simple. If he's here, you have him here. Play Captain here, Jasper moves over. So it can be used to move your heroes or allies away from being able to capture. Let's say you moved him here, but you couldn't capture him yet. Captain gets played. Now you have to wait another turn to move him back and then activate. So Captain can be annoying. With 3 strength, easy to get around. Next up we have Sgt Tibbs. When Sgt Tibbs is played, you may move up to 2 puppy tokens from in Cruella de Vil's realm to his location. So you're about to capture these 2. Sgt Tibbs moves here. He can take these 2 and move them all the way over here. So now you can't capture them. That would be the best use. Now, what wouldn't be good is if they had one here. They had one here. And then Sgt Tibbs took these 2 and combined them. Because instead of having to use 2 different activate locations, now you can just activate once and capture these both if you move Jasper here. So, if you're playing against Cruella de Vil, try not to combine puppy tokens. Try to wait until there's 2 at one location, and then take the 2 at that location and move them over. Keep in mind it says you may move up to 2, so you absolutely do not have to. Now, if Jasper was here, you probably wouldn't want to move him, because he still has to move to capture, so you have to move, capture, move, capture. This is if you're playing against Cruella de Vil. But if you are Cruella de Vil, Sgt Tibbs can be a little bit of an annoyance. So that's it for heroes. Now on to effects. There are no items in the Fate deck. You get 8 effects. You get 2 of 4 different types. So I'm going to start by going through We're Labradors. Move up to 2 puppy tokens from one location and return them face up to the supply. Very simple. You have 2 at the Radcliffe house. A Fate, you take this. These 2 return to the supply. Face up. So now you can't capture them, so it just removes them from the board. So you can just find a way to get them back on and then capture again. Very simple to get around, just takes a while to get them back. Flew the Coop, choose 1 captured puppy token and return it face up to the supply. This is the one that is probably the worst. If you had Radcliffe House captured, the 22, this card would take it from your captured puppy tokens and return it to the supply. And that means you'd have to take it, add it to a location again, and then capture it to get it back. So this one really messes things up. Next up we have Reckless Driving. Discard an item from Cruella de Vil's realm. Very simple. This is the one that gets rid of the Roadster a lot, in my experience. So yeah, you gotta watch out for this when you're playing items, to use them when you play them. Don't really play them and then wait, because if you play them and wait, you can end up getting it discarded, and then you'll be your plan will be messed up. Lastly, from the Fate deck, we have Twilight Park. Choose and play a hero from Cruella de Vil's discard pile. Not good at all, because you have a lot of them. Perdida and Pongo specifically are the ones that you have to really look out for, because if these 2 are discarded, Twilight Park can be drawn and then they can be played again, which can mess things up. So be very vigilant when playing, that you know that there are 2 of these, so if one's discarded, you know one will be in that deck. So it takes a lot of knowledge with the Fate deck to know, okay, what is in there, what can come up, and then you have to plan around that. So yeah, just make sure you always look at your discard pile and go, okay, I see 1 Twilight Park, so 1 is still left. I need to make sure that I have a poker on my allies, so that when Twilight Park comes up and an ally or a hero is played, that I'm ready to vanquish it as soon as I can. So yeah, just plan ahead. These 2 cards can twist you up. Alright, and so that's the information about the objective, the villain deck, and the villain Fate deck. So now I'm going to go into the strategy that I use as Cruella de Vil. It's very simple. So what I do is, well, if I have my puppy tokens, I'm just going to make a pile, because it doesn't need to look nice, because it doesn't matter. So what I do is I always make sure I have these 2 early on. I do that by either having them in my starting hand, or I just start discarding things until I have them, or I use my you idiots to capture or take them from my deck and put them into my hand. So these 4 cards are really good to get off the bat, and that's because these two allow you to find these, and if you have these aren't really necessary then. So yeah, another good card to have early on is the flashlight, because when you're just starting out, you're trying to get as many of these puppy tokens onto the board as you can, so that you can start using Jasper to capture 2 at a time, instead of capturing one, then moving over, and then capturing another. So, if you have Horse and Jasper out early, and a flashlight, what I would do is just try and activate the flashlight and Horus as many times as possible to just take as many of these tokens as you can and get them on the board as much as you possibly can. Except that was some crazy luck, because I just got all those. So, yeah, and then once you have a lot of them out, you can actually start moving Jasper and then capturing, then moving and then capturing. So, yeah, that's basically the main part of my strategy when it comes to this. Now, there's other stuff too, like vanquishing. If I have my allies out and I draw a fireplace poker, I almost always just attach it to my allies, because these are important cards, and if you put them and attach them to your allies, then they won't take up your hand space. Your hand space can be used to get any of those effects that can be very, very, very important to putting puppy tokens on the board or capturing them. So, yeah, I always have these out, and then I always make sure that they're ready to be used, just in case if a hero is then played, because then I can just get rid of it really quick. With the fireplace poker on, they can both vanquish any hero that gets played, so you don't have to worry about having strength at a location. And also, when they vanquish, this goes away, so that's another thing. And then, yeah, so there's also the Devil Take It, which allows you to just, if you really needed to, you can take this back. So, yeah, that's very important. If I'm low on power, I always use LA for Furs. It allows me to just get the most power I can. This is assuming that I haven't been capturing a lot, because then I'll have more of these tokens. Ignore the words on them, but I'll have more of the tokens spread out. So, yeah. Spotted and stuff like that. Here puppies are also really helpful with getting tokens flipped over or getting them onto the board. Both of which are incredibly important. So yeah, so the main kind of thing I want to touch on with this is, if I have a nice spread of tokens, and I have my Jasper out, I want to use the Roadster to do as much of this token moving as I can. So I try to just combine puppy tokens on Jasper's location so that I can capture them. And then I probably move Jasper over here, and then move the Roadster, then move it back, and then capture that. So, if you're not moving Jasper, or if you're just in the phase where you're getting as many puppy tokens out as you can, and you have the Roadster, try to just start doubling them up, like doing that, and then moving here, and then combining these, so that you can use Jasper for what he really is, so you can capture 2 at a time, maximize how much you're capturing. So, yeah, the Roadster can really help with that. And with Cruella de Vil, because her objective is slow, you really have to make sure that you're fading your opponents and applying pressure, because if you don't, you can end up being too far behind on your objective and you can end up losing. So you have to really make sure that you have your options to be able to fake people. If this is blocked, you can actually use the card that allows you to look under and do one of these actions that are covered by a hero. If you absolutely needed to fate. Yeah, so there's a lot you can do with this. A very versatile deck. Hopefully I did a good job of this. If you have any further questions, I am totally open with the comments. I will get back to you. I'll answer any questions you have. If you need me to go into any more detail with this, I'll happily do one in the comments, or I'll respond to the comments. Or if you need like a visual help, I will also I'll most likely just post a video answering your question. So yeah, I am here to help everyone, so that's what I'll do if there's any questions. I want to take this time to then, if you haven't seen, I uploaded a video not too long ago where I announced that I have a Reddit now for my channel. It's r/pineapplegames. It's where you go to interact further with the community of the channel, and also you guys get to choose what villain strategy guides I do next. And I might also ask for some data for a video or something. I don't know yet. But yeah, so that's what I have going on. So it'd be awesome to see you all there. I have a poll up now for what strategy guide I should do next. I chose 5. None of them are from the new expansion yet. And that is because I haven't played enough with them yet to have a strategy guide of my own, or strategy of my own yet. So that'll be coming out after the next one. So you have this one, another one, and then I'll probably start on the new expansion. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Any comments, I'll answer them. Yeah. Thanks for watching.